The next 24 hours are going to be very significant to pay attention to in this market. And the reason why I say that is because number one, stocks are opening again today. On top of that, we are going to see some significant updates regarding the China and US trade war situation. A lot of people were asking me in my video from last night if the stock market will be open going into today because of Columbus Day, and the answer is yes. Stocks are still open. A few markets are not going to be open, like for example bonds, I'm pretty sure are not open today. However, we will get a big update regarding stocks. Now, currently, the view in crypto is a sea of green. We are watching as some altcoins are jumping 10, 20, 30, even 50+% on the daily view right now. Yes, XRP, HBAR, XLM, all of them are up today. Regardless of the significance that they are pumping to the upside, the main thing that we are focused on here is getting back to previous support levels and flipping those support levels. Currently, Bitcoin hovering around 114.8K, nothing significant there. Ethereum 4,100, XRP $2.56 almost. Beyond that, we have XLM at 34, HBAR at about 18. And the rest of the market is still, just chucking along. If we're looking at the market itself, market cap wise, 3.91 trillion. We did hit, I believe, 4 trillion on some platforms. I'm not too sure how they are, really adding that up. But again, 3.91 trillion right now, currently on a coin market cap. Fear and greed back to 40. Very interesting to see, back into the neutral territory from those fearful levels. I mean, listen, most altcoins in this market were extremely oversold recently. We were talking about that when we were looking at the fear and greed index as well. Because although, yeah, fear and greed is definitely a great way to see how significant the market is, selling off and how retail sentiment is acting with that. Looking at the average RSI in the market gives us a little bit of a better picture on just how oversold some of these altcoins are. If we're looking at RSI, and we could see this in like the 15-minute, I mainly try to look at this on the 24-hour span. I think that the 24-hour span is much better to look into than, for an example, like some of these lower time frames. Now, looking at the 24-hour view, there's definitely a lot of altcoins that are still extremely oversold. Looking at even the 7-day span, there's a lot of altcoins that are extremely oversold as well. And some of them do include altcoins that we talk about quite often on the channel. But again, we knew on this recent dip that there was a ton of exaggerated selling pressure, which led to a lot of altcoins like even XRP having a massive wick to the downside. Now, during this time, and I want to stress this is one of the biggest warnings that I can give to any of you out there. Do not believe everything you see on X. I made a post recently, this was earlier today, and I said, does anyone even fact check this account? Where is the source? This isn't even on Truth Social. And this is from Watcher Guru over on X. Now, if you guys do remember, this is that same account that said that they were hacked when they posted a hype tweet regarding Swift, adopting Ripple and XRP. Now, this is the post from 6 hours ago. Just in, President Trump says tariffs on China are still the plan for November 1st, which is kind of scaring the market a bit. And then another account said the same exact thing. But do you notice something very interesting here? Look at who this is brought to you by. Watcher Guru and also Bricks Info. Bricks Info is also another account surrounding this ecosystem, which again, if we're thinking about all of these accounts tied back to one another, someone that is running these accounts is most likely trading the market once we start to see some of these headlines coming out and the market gets a little bit panicked. This is why you cannot believe everything you see. We also got an update from Cointelegraph, which was new. The US and China ease trade tensions as both countries signal willingness to resume negotiations, raising hopes for a market rebound. Now, what's the source for this? Well, it's from Truth Social. This is what Trump said over on his social media platform. Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. He doesn't want depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. President Donald J. Trump. Now, again, if we're thinking about this logically, if we're looking into these things, can we take this for 100% certainty that this week we don't see an exaggerated update regarding this trade war situation? Absolutely not. We cannot take this for 100% certain. But when we are looking at the market, we know that the indicators were red hot in terms of, hey, guess what? The market has just sold off and this is exaggerated. We are hitting levels of oversold territory that we haven't hit since going all the way back to April, which also marked the bottom in 2025. So guess what? This dip basically told us that most of these charts were already bottomed out. So regardless of what happens this week, I do think most of these charts are already fully bottomed out. Now, looking into a few things, like for example, stocks, because again, today is one of the most important days to really kind of be focused on stocks. This is what stocks look like on Friday. This was a very significant sell-off. If we're looking at this, right, this was a single candle on the S&P, 3.1%. Pretty significant sell-off. Looking at this on the lower time frame structure, like for example, like the 4-hour or even some of these lower time frames, this hit extremely oversold territory. So the main thing to focus on here is, are we going to see a little bit more pain come, later today for the S&P, which it could definitely happen, right? I have this blue zone here for a reason. Or are we just going to completely bounce back and open in the green? Well, looking at a few things like the pre-market, we can see that the market in terms of traditional finance was also in fear at about 29. But look at the futures here. Plus 400 for the Dow, which is 0.88%. The S&P up 81 plus points, 1.23%. NASDAQ up 406 points, 1.67%. It looks as though the market is about to swing much higher. We have to take this with a grain of salt. Things can change from now till the market opens. But if we start to open in a very bullish way, and this marks the bottom, prepare for a significant wave to the upside. This will take the S&P to 7K plus, in my opinion. Now, we also have an update from the Coinbase letter, which said, breaking, the U.S. stock market futures opened sharply higher as investors react to U.S.-China de-escalation this weekend. Dow up 0.9, S&P up 1.1, NASDAQ up 1.4. We continue to look for a trade deal before November 1st. If you include the after-hours drop in futures, the S&P 500 is up 120 points at the open. This has effectively erased 50% of the decline seen late last week. Now we await more guidance from the Trump admin. And yes, we do have to take this one step at a time. Main thing to focus on here is just getting through the open, seeing how stocks really kind of react to what's happened so far over the weekend. We don't have too much to go off of, which is why we're really kind of looking for some big updates this week. Now, looking at Bitcoin, looking at Ethereum, and even looking at XRP, we're starting to see a nice bounce off of the lows. The biggest thing that I have been mentioning, especially over the last couple of days because of this massive sell-off, was just looking at structure. When it comes to Bitcoin, we did just have a very significant weekly candle close. Yeah, it wasn't the craziest candle close. However, it was a higher low compared to our previous weekly candle closes, which was a very good signal. Now, looking at this on the daily, I did outline how we have been witnessing bullish structure form on the RSI compared to price action. And also, when we are looking at price action right now, we did just break through my first key level on this chart, which was 113.4K. Very good start. Had a daily candle close right around 115K. We still need to break over 115.4K. This is the first key level after we broke over this one to focus on. And then if we manage to break over 115.4K and we start to build towards that next level, breaking 117.6K will be the big signal that we are officially bottomed out and Bitcoin is going to run back to these previous highs at about 126K. This will be very bullish. This will also confirm the bottom being in. Beyond Bitcoin though, looking at Ethereum, again, Ethereum in a very similar spot to Bitcoin. However, the difference here is the price action compared to RSI. We have this significant low followed by a lower low. However, look at RSI. Do you guys notice something interesting here? We have a low and a higher low. What is that? That is bullish divergence. This is telling us that Ethereum should be trading much higher very soon. The key thing to focus on here with Ethereum, especially if Bitcoin does play along, breaking over 4,200, getting a candle close over this and flipping it into support. I said in the beginning of this video, we are watching for key support levels to be flipped to flip them back into support. Because right now, as you guys can see from this chart, and even as you guys can see from the Bitcoin chart, most of these support levels will act as resistance until we break over them. So I'm watching for Ethereum to break over some of these key levels. And after we can reclaim 4,200, the next big focus here will be 4,500. Yes, there's a lot of demand around like 4,400 and so, but this is like the main key high. And then after that, we really look at breaking over that downtrend that we have been, tapping. We tapped it back here in September. We rejected it, which led to this low in September. Then we retested it twice in October, and now here we are. So we need to break over that trend line. We need to reclaim a higher high. And then after that, we really look at the all-time high officially getting closed over on the higher time frame structure. And then last but not least, yes, XRP. So over on X, I did make a post yesterday talking about bullish divergence on XRP on the lower time frame. Because yes, on the lower time frame, XRP does look very bullish here. We should start to build back to the upside. However, I want to look at this on the daily. So if you guys were watching my videos leading up to this crash, you already know that I was looking for XRP to hit this $2.30 to $2.60 level. Yes, we have this crazy liquidity wick on the chart. This liquidity wick, I consider it not to be real. Why? Because most platforms only registered XRP hitting around $2. Because again, most of these wicks are fake wicks where no one was able to buy them, no one was able to sell them, no one was able to trade them. So we did hold in this blue zone. We found support right around $2.36. Very good to see. And now the main thing to focus on is number one, RSI just hit the lowest point since going all the way back to July of 2024. On top of that, the key thing that we are watching on this chart now is clearing the May highs. So breaking over $2 and almost 60 cents. After that is flipped, we look at the next key area, which is $2.73, almost $2.74. And then beyond that, if we're really looking at some key levels, we can replace this $3.03 zone because this was the resistance from our recent highs. We're looking at this level around $2.97 being the next big target here. So we have some work to do on some of these charts, which is totally fine, right? We have this week to really build back to the upside. If stocks manage to open in a very bullish way today, that will carry a lot of these charts significantly higher. So a lot of these levels will be broken, just like Bitcoin is pushing through some of these levels. That's exactly what we want to see on all of these charts. But overall, very good reaction, very significant push from those lows. I'm definitely watching stocks this week. I'm definitely watching to see any big update regarding this US and China trade deal situation. I think that a lot of it's just noise, but we still need to, pay attention to it because it will affect the market. But beyond that, very good sign in this market of a nice, strong reversal. So very good. Now, with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because there's more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.